Alright, so we are off to go on a tour of Gallipoli. We've got the Anzac Day ceremony in 2 days, and yeah, everyone told us to go do this beforehand to give a real sense of the place. So we are very excited and gonna go catch the ferry across the channel, and then yeah, we'll be there. So looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing the countryside and learn a bit more history, and yeah, really getting an appreciation for what everyone went through who were there. So let's go do it.
From the ferry terminal in ECEABAT, pronounced ECEABAT, we jumped on our tour bus and drove over to the other side of the peninsula to Anzac Cove. The concrete box you see here is a bunker that was made for World War II defences, though never used as Turkey sat neutral during the Second World War. This photograph was taken during the Anzac campaign and shows the differences in the terrain to how you see it today. It also shows just how bare and open it was for the Anzacs on that beach.
The words on this plaque are those written by Mustafa Kemal Atatürk to the mothers of fallen soldiers in the fierce fighting that occurred on the Anzac Peninsula. Mustafa Kemal later became the founder of what is now known as modern Turkey. This is a great man who showed respect for each side during the fighting and is now still deeply respected by all of Turkey. I grew up hearing stories of what we know as the Anzac Day poppies, that they grew wild all through Turkey, and it was just fantastic to see that they were growing wild here on Anzac Cove.
The story behind this statue is that during the Gallipoli campaign, a Turkish soldier raised the white flag to pause the bombardment of fire from both sides. He left his trench, walked into no man's land and gathered a wounded Australian soldier, and then continued to carry him to the Australian lines so he could get medical help. He then returned to his own line and the firing resumed.
The area became known as Lone Pine Ridge after it was cleared by naval artillery fire, leaving just one lone pine tree. The original lone pine tree was destroyed as the fighting intensified, though the name of the area had already stuck. After the Battle of Lone Pine, some Australian diggers salvaged the pine cones from that original tree, and on their return to Australia was planted in Australian soil some 13 years later.
Even though the Australian and Turkish trenches are showing signs of weather and time, it was sombering to see with our own eyes just how close the fighting was in this area. You can see here all that separates the two opposing forces is the width of a road, and in other areas the trenches were even closer.
So we're getting ready to head off to Gallipoli. We've got to leave at about 8 o'clock and get picked up, and yeah, sleep under the stars, and then we'll be there all ready and rugged up for the morning ceremony. So yeah, very exciting. Chelsea's over there prepping some food for some midnight snacks, basically leftover pasta and bread. And yeah, got all our bags packed down here, which is just clothes. One will be clothes, one will be food. And yeah, check out here. This is what's been on for the last 4 days because it's still the Ramadan festival, or the end of Ramadan, so yeah, check this out.
I got a dolphin chocolate, she has an octopus chocolate. Not like I got an octopus, and I got the dolphin.
The recommendation noted that, regardless of personal risk, he visited the frontline troops, ministered to the wounded, attended burial parties, and helped to collect wounded. In addition to providing spiritual and material comfort to the men, Dexter was an avid photographer.
Extremely hot and dry, and the plague of flies was awful. We were on half rations, which consisted of a 1 pound tin of plum jam between 4 men, half a loaf of bread, and half a pint of water per day.
Bu memleketin toprakları üzerinde kanlarını döken kahramanlar artık bizim evlatlarımız olmuşlardır. Arz ederim. Distinguished guests, now I would like to read the letter, including full of signs and special messages sent to be addressed to Anzac mothers by Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, founder of modern Turkish Republic, and the hero of CHUNUK. Those heroes that shed their blood and lost their lives. You are now lying in the soil of a friendly country. Therefore, rest in peace. There is no difference between the Johnnies and the Mehmets to us, where they lie side by side here in this country of ours. You, the mothers, who sent their sons from faraway countries, wipe away your tears. Your sons are now lying in our bosom and are in peace. After having lost their lives on this land, they become our sons as well.
No, I wasn't. I was sound asleep in the bed.
Wait, we was eating the grass like a sheep. Bah.
Mama, what?
You're a cow.
Mama, what? What? Go in the crack bin.
No, you're a sheep. Bah. And there's your sister, the cow. Moo.
You can play at the top. Motor speeder. Go! Bunny speed.
Cuba. Whoa, take me where the April sun gon' treat me so right, so right, so right. The empire is fading by the day, and the world is so weary in war. Maybe we'll find that new way. Oh, Mayra, kite papa. Vete aroha, enga iwi, kia tapoto, kia kutahina, tato tato we.
Just gone back pretty recently from Anzac Day at Gallipoli, and it was amazing. It was amazing for all different reasons than I would have originally thought of, though amazing nonetheless, and I would always want to go back if I had the opportunity. Chelsea's gone down straight for a nap. The girls are still playing upstairs, which is incredible because they haven't had much sleep at all. To spend the night there and sleep outside, not that we slept at all, the girls slept for sure a little bit, they probably had a couple of hours, but to be outside there, it just sets that mood to an extent that you can't realise until you actually do it. And when before 4:30, when they start the pre-commencement ceremonies, you're scanning around and you see the crystal clear blue water, and you come around and scan on top of the hills and you see the plateau and you see the SPHINX, and you're just at awe as to how that landscape must have been for everyone during those hard times, and you really get a solid appreciation for what it was or what you think it might have been like. And yeah, just an incredible and moving thing to go and see. The things that come along the way that you're not expecting. A really lovely New Zealand Army Force personnel who's just chatted to us briefly but gave her New Zealand fern pin to Zaya, and I mean that's a moment that I will treasure forever, and that fern will stay with Zaya forever. So, and walking from the dawn service ceremony at the Anzac landing sites, heading up to Lone Pine, that walk alone, getting to do it on foot when there's no cars and none of those sorts of things that you normally have to do with on a day tour, is something that you only get to do on Anzac Day. It's the only time you're going to get that appreciation for those landscapes properly, because you get to spend that time walking slowly through it and seeing everything for how it is. It's obviously changed. It was 108 years ago when this happened, so there's a lot more shrubs and trees growing back versus when the actual landing happened because of the bombardment from the ships. So most of the trees and the shrubs were gone when they actually landed, so it was definitely a worse environment for landing than what we ever see. But even without that, you can see how steep and gnarly it is that you're like, man, it's an incredible feat for both sides to be where they were. And it was a shame that it even had to happen, because you could see it was never going to work from the start. Like, yeah, that's the craziest thing. And super happy with life, and that we pushed hard to do the Anzac Day at Gallipoli, because we sat for so many days to get here, and it was tough and heaps of stuff happened, heaps of things broke, but man, it was all worth the effort to be here, 100%. I'll do it all over again in a heartbeat.
The ceremony took place only metres from the shoreline of the Gallipoli Peninsula, where the Anzac legend was born 108 years ago. It's been a long night for many of the attendees who've been camping out since the early hours of this morning. Some of them came prepared with swags and sleeping bags to roll out on the grass under the stars while they waited for the commemorations to begin.